Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the TJR Auto channel. My name is Tyler, and today, of course, we're going to be playing with the GTO again. Now, if you guys saw my last video, or the last 5 or 6 videos, which you should check out if you haven't already, you would see all the work that we've done to get to the point that we're at. Now, in the last video, we got all of the primer done, as well as all the seam sealing done on all of the seams that were originally factory seam sealed. So I went back and I did it just like factory, so it looks closer to factory and it does its job. So all of that stuff's dried, everything looks good. So I'm super stoked about that. Honestly, love how it came out. Now, in today's video, we're going to be laying some paint on the bay. We're going to be doing some cool stuff with the wheel wells. Really, I guess it's not really cool, but I think it's kind of cool. We're going to be taking care of the wheel wells. We're going to be taking care of the bay paint. And there's a couple other odds and ends that I need to take care of, like the intake lid and stuff like that does need to get painted today as well. So I'm going to quit yapping, and we're going to start working. Well, I'm going to start working. You guys get to watch. You guys want to trade spots? So obviously I'm very eager to get the actual engine bay painted. But before we do that, I figure it's probably appropriate to take care of the wheel wells first, since I plan on using a rubberized undercoating in here to seal everything up before I paint the engine bay. Alright, so while our undercoat dries, let's touch up any areas that I may have missed with some black primer. Let that sit, and then again I want to go over everything. Any rough spots I want to go over with a little bit of wet sanding and all that kind of stuff, and basically get everything else done so then I can finally just paint the bay. Well, look at this fine bay. So went over everything, I think, with 400 grit, just about everything actually. Really any of the stuff that you're going to see and the stuff that I kind of cared about. So everything looks good. I did end up doing a second coat of undercoat before I prepped the paint in the bay. So all that stuff is good. Luckily, I was able to slide the subframe out by myself and not scratch up too much stuff, so that's good. But now we're ready to paint. So I've been shaking this turbo can. Hopefully this doesn't screw me with how much paint this thing puts out. But I figure the coverage is what we're really looking for. And at the worst, if I don't like how big the fan is, because this thing sprays really, really wide, I can always put a normal tip on it, and then I just have basically 2 cans in one. So what we're going to do now, I have already, like I said, sanded it. I used the air compressor, blew out all the nooks and crannies, blew out all the dust, and then I cleaned it with alcohol maybe 4 or 5 times with my blue towels. So we are just about ready to go. So I'm going to climb in the bay. I'm going to set you guys up on a time lapse, and we're going to start painting finally. I have only at this point sprayed 1 coat of black paint in the bay. Basically let it sit for a very long time to really let it dry. I didn't want to take any chances with this. So that looks good. It's basically ready for a second coat. And Alex brought me over this big, beautiful crate that I paid a lot of money for. But, oh my God, let me tell you guys, it is so nice to look at a brand like this. Still, it hasn't registered in my brain that that's a brand new part. I have never bought something, A, that's this expensive, B, that is this nice, and C, that is this just new, you know? So it's pretty cool. It's already kind of funny seeing some differences looking between the old, normal T56 and then the Magnum F. There's a couple differences. I'm sure I'll talk about it at some point in the video. I got to do some research and make sure I'm talking the right facts so you guys don't get mad about all my rah-rah. But man, oh man, well worth it. So we got this, and then in that small box, we have the slip yoke, and I believe the U-joint's in there. Hopefully it is. But yeah, I made a mess. Alex was here for a while. We were just catching up. He also brought me some awesome looking wire loom so I can refresh my harnesses for the car. So everything will look nice and neat on top of the motor and the bay. And honestly, this car is just coming together so quickly and so nicely. It really makes me excited and really makes me want to just like take off work for a week and really get the shit done. All right, guys. Well, bear with me here. I haven't recorded anything today yet. I've recorded the other stuff yesterday or something like that. So, right when I got home from work, basically, I confirmed that everything was dry that I had painted yesterday. So basically, just everything in the bay. And I went around, touched up as much stuff as I could, and then laid on the rest of like a third coat, I guess you could say. So everything is just about dry now, or at least it seems like it's dry. So I might do a tiny bit of wet sanding just to work out some imperfections if I have any. Obviously, this thing isn't perfect, but any spots that I really care about, I'll probably wet sand just a little bit on this base coat before I get into spraying some flake and clear coat. So that's on the chopping block. Like I said, I did that as soon as I got home from work so that I could kind of, get that done tonight. So there's that. The intake, I put another coat or two onto. That is not the paint I used. Put another coat or two on it, so that's basically good. I think that's still kind of drying up. I have the fuel rails, gave them a quick scuff, taped them off everywhere that I could, and those are painted, and those are also going to be a different color, but that's just a base coat. And then over here, I took a really long time, and it was honestly excruciating, getting the struts over there, getting those off of the, I guess, straight subframe, but the dirtiest subframe I think I've ever seen in my life. So it took me a while, a lot of heat, a lot of PB blaster, a lot of force. So that's good, but I need to run to the store and get more degreaser because this thing is still disgusting. And I noticed that basically all of the bushings are shot, so hopefully they're in better shape. And I think that honestly, all the arms and stuff are like pretty fresh on the twisted subframe. So I think I'm going to end up having to basically gut both subframes and swap almost everything over. So not the end of the world, but also need to pick up paint for this thing too because this thing's crusty, dusty, and it's been dragged around a lot. So needs some love to be fresh. So we're looking good. It was kind of just easier for me to bang all this stuff out. I also cleaned up a bunch. It was getting nasty in here. So yeah, we're at a better spot, and I'm ready to get some more shit done. So come along for the ride. But yeah, everything honestly turned out killer. Super stoked, and this is going to look a lot better once I'm done. Once I'm actually done with the paint in the bay. This is basically just base coat, like I said, and then we have metallic and clear coat to spray as well. So let's get at it. I did a little bit of wet sanding, as you can see here. Oh my god, that's horrible. So you can see, like, that's just the normal spray paint black. That's with the wet sanding. Did on the tubs, the strut towers, the tubs, and basically the front core support. I didn't bother touching anything else. I mean, nothing looks bad. Like, you could get away with leaving it like this and be like, oh, it's factory black paint, whatever. It really doesn't matter. But I figure I only wanted to hit the areas that you're going to see. The fenders cover all that, that side piece, like the fender mount area. And then once the bumper and the headlights parts are in the bay, you're not going to see much of it. So I figure at least when you pop the hood, what you're going to be looking at, I figure it might as well be decent looking, right? So did slight wet sanding with 1000 grit, used a lot of alcohol, and kept everything very wet so that I didn't really blow through the black paint, more so just kind of smoothed out any bad spots. Obviously spray paint's going to be a little rough. So we did that, right? We look decent. So now what I'm going to do, I sprayed everything with alcohol, cleaned everything, blew it off, and did that about 3 times. So we're really clean. We're ready to go. And what I'm going to be using as clear coat is this 2K clear gloss. Now, this stuff, you see the red thing on the top, there's actually a pin in the bottom of the can, and you put that red button on it and you pop it, you shake it up really good, and it's a two-part rather than just a normal spray can, which is just one part technically. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a can out, crack it open, and my plan is to lay one coat of clear, then lay the flake, and then a bunch of clear on top of that. And then all that stuff will be heavily wet sanded, potentially buffed and polished to make it actually look like glass. And I've never done this before, so let's see if I can do good. Over here, the subframe is getting restored. It's definitely not just getting a bunch of satin black paint. Definitely not. I definitely replaced every single bushing and arm and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely not going to put that off until I have problems. So that's that. I will say I am swapping fresh wheel bearings though into this, so that will be good. That's nice. So we'll have some brand new parts on it. But while that's drying, I got to do these couple pieces as well to satin black. And then here we are. I love honestly how the bay came out. Part of me thinks I did too much flake. Part of me thinks I did it just right. I definitely would have liked more clear coat on this. I think it would have been a little bit deeper of a black, but at the same time, I could have just been chasing my tail the entire time. Well, I didn't film what I just did because it's super dark and it'd probably be a pain in the ass for you guys to see. But I threw the steering rack on the subframe. I didn't tighten down those two back bolts, but I just, basically put a couple threads on. Same with the tie rods, because I know this alignment is going to be way off, but we have a subframe, ladies and gents, and as far as I could tell, it's straight from my measurements that I took. So now we have a subframe, got some of the wiring back in the bay, and it's just starting to look more like a car. So another thing too is I definitely do want to swap the boots on the tie rods, on the inner tie rods. You can see that one's ripped. I don't really feel like doing that right now, so I just want to see. It's funny. That guy always does that, but I still don't know who he is. So if that's you, shout out to you. That thing sounds good. All right, guys. Well, I think this is where we're going to wrap up today's video. I would like to say we got a lot of stuff done. Honestly, I love how everything looks. Thankfully, I got my buddy Mike here, and we're about to do some Very, very fun stuff. But the bay came out awesome. Love how the paint looks. Just look at that little glisten back there. Not bad, not bad. So for some spray cans and no experience, I would say we did pretty all right. Obviously, I showed you guys last night. We got the subframe in, got the suspension roughly installed. Again, with these rubber bushings, with suspension stuff like this, you can't tighten them all the way down until you have load on it and you have the weight of the vehicle pushing down so it's in the correct spot. Otherwise, you will wear the bushings out or bearings out a lot quicker. So with that being said, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys like how it came out. Honestly, I think it looks killer. Definitely beats having a half yellow, half black engine bay that's all beat up. So with that being said, that's going to be all for today. We're about to get into playing with the drivetrain, which is going to be next video, next week. You know, next yonder, all the way out there. So yeah, I don't know. It's early. I'm confused. I'm tired. I'm ready to just. I've been huffing a lot of paint, so I'm kind of up. But yeah, let's. I'm gonna go make the next video. So.